It is Tuesday, May 27th, 2025, and I am returning to the United States. So the day that I was scheduled to leave was the most weird experience. I, it was so chaotic and unprofessional. So, I'm flying out. The day before, I started folding my clothes, identified the clothes that I wasn't really allowed to bring any of my own. I wasn't allowed to bring my personal clothes into the prison. I had to keep all my personal clothes in a bag, and they put it in a plastic bag and put it in some storage room. And then the clothes that I wore, the street clothes that I wore while I was in Central Belize prison, were all given to me for the most part. I had sometimes prisoners, when they were leaving, would gift me clothes, and they would be like newer clothes, like nicer clothes than what I had. So I pretty much gave most of my clothes to my cellmate and my cell neighbors, and just took like maybe a pair of jeans, a top, no, two tops. Like this is a top that I got from Central Belize prison. And then a few items that I kept. Somebody was suggesting, look, you don't have any clothes. Why don't you take some of these? And I really wanted to like burn all of them. I didn't want to see any of those clothes ever again. But most of the clothes I did give away. I gave away my food. I gave my pens and paper, remaining paper, to my cellmate because she still didn't have commissary. She was an American woman, and she was having problems with getting money. Her lawyer wasn't getting back to her, and her family, for some reason, refused to send money because they were convinced that anybody that they sent the money to would steal the money. I don't know, it was interesting. So I felt bad for her. So I gave her my toiletries, like my shampoo, my conditioner, my body wash, um, any food or anything else that she thinks she might need. I knew in my heart that she's going to get commissary soon, but I think I wasn't sure how long, so I just gave her as much as I could, because she was really kind of freaking out that I was leaving her, because she was basically going to be the only American in our part of the prison, and I think she was just getting nervous about that, not having another American near her. Um, and then the day of, so that's Tuesday, I wasn't being given any information. I just assumed that I would be leaving at like 6, 7 in the morning. I think if I remember correctly, my flight was scheduled to depart at noon. So I thought they would for sure pick me up early in the morning, take me over the airport so there'd be time to go through security, give me the rest of my legal paperwork. But that didn't happen. I took a shower with everyone else, which I expected at like 6, 7 in the morning. I changed into my clothes. And then I was told that there was some kind of church event happening. There was a missionary group from the US and from Belize that were coming together, and they wanted all the female prisoners to come to this auditorium on the men's side of the prison. And I was so sure, well, I'm not participating in this because I need to get to the airport. So, I asked the head of the prison, like, okay, well, but am I going with you guys? Because, like, I need to get to the airport. I still need to go to the prison administrator and finish up checkout. I need to get the rest of my commissary money out. Like, I have to sign for that. Like, there was a lot of things I had to do before I could just walk out of the prison and be driven to the airport, plus that whole process of getting through customs, etc. And nobody would tell me anything. They were just like, when immigration gets here, then you'll go. But in the meantime, you're not going to sit in your cell. Like, you have to participate in what the other prisoners are participating in. So at about 9 a.m., the rest of us, we all had to change into our orange jumpsuits, get in line, get patted down, and go out to the auditorium. And I'm sitting at the auditorium like, my flight departs at noon, and this was money spent by my family. If I don't make this flight, my family doesn't have money to just buy another flight. Like it was I think if I'm correct, it was like a non-refundable economy flight. So I'm getting a little anxious. Like, okay. So we're sitting there and I'm just kind of like looking over at the guards every once in a while as 30 minutes goes by, 60 minutes goes by. At one point, the missionaries came, the men and the American and the Belize missionary came, and I recognized one of the missionaries. She used to come every Friday and lead a prayer group with us, a Bible study group with us. It was a Caucasian woman, and I believe she was from Georgia. And so at one point, I kept asking the guards, "Hey, like, it's 10:30. My flight departs at noon." So at one point, I went and just sat. They were being nasty to me and like being really rude. And I went and sat next to the white woman that I knew, the missionary. And she looked over at me because she knew everything. I would make sure to tell her everything every Friday. I'd give her updates on what was going on with me. And she looked over at me and was like, "Hey, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be heading to the airport?" And I said, "I know, right? Like, I'm getting a little nervous." And right as I'm starting to talk to her and she's asking me like what's going on, all of a sudden the the prison guards all of a sudden wanted to help me. The woman in charge jumped up and walked over and told me, "Hey, Julia, it's time for you to come out. We need to check you out." And so before I could have any more conversation with the white woman that was the American missionary, they ushered me away from her real quickly. And I was like, "Oh, okay." So they take me out to the front, and they pulled out all my stuff from storage. At this point, it's hitting 10:30. Again, my flight's at noon. And I was told by the US Embassy the day before, go through all your stuff. Make sure you have all your stuff. If you're missing anything, call us and let us know. Do not leave the prison without any of your stuff. I asked about my passport. They said they had it. I asked about my daughter's birth certificate. They said that I had to email the U.S. Embassy when I got to the U.S., and that the U.S. Embassy would mail me my daughter's birth certificate. I started going through my stuff to make sure I had everything, and immigration and the prison guards started verbally harassing me. You need to hurry up. You need to hurry up. You're going to miss your flight. You're going to miss your flight. If you want your flight, then you need to hurry up. And I was like, well, the U.S. Embassy specifically told me I need to check through my stuff. They specifically told me I need to check through it. And if anything's missing, I need to notify them. And so I did it. And the entire time they were verbally assaulting me, screaming at me, yelling at me, telling me that I'm going to miss my flight. And I kept saying, the US Embassy specifically told me I need to do this. And I could not find my driver's license. I looked everywhere. I could not find my US driver's license. And the immigration officer was berating me and threatening to leave me and saying that I'm purposely being difficult and that I don't want my flight and da 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 da. And I was like, "No, like, can you please call the US Embassy? I cannot find my driver's license. I cannot go to the United States without my US driver's license. I need that in order to drive my car when I get back to the States." Eventually, after, I don't know, it felt like forever because they were verbally assaulting me, I found it. They hadn't properly notated my driver's license, but they had stuck it in some random pocket. So it was a mistake that the Belize prison had made, not notating my